church intro video.
In a world gone mad.
This church intro video is possibly my favorite part of the whole podcast.
Come to the church intro video for sanity.
Church intro video.
Church intro video.
Church intro video. Church intro video. You know these Squishmallows, right? You know what I mean?
The heck's a Squishmallow?
A Squishmallow. It's a squishy. It's a Squishmallow. It's this thing. Squishmallow. Squishmallow. It's squishy. See? Squishmallow. You see?
I'm not familiar with this product.
Squishmallow. It goes squeeze. Whoop. Squeeze.
Okay.
And it's supposed to help you mellow. I think. I want one that's an adipose.
From Doctor Who. Not just a random adipose fat cell.
No. From Doctor Who. I have my adipose. I have an adipose up there somewhere. I don't know where he is. He's somewhere.
Because I got lots of adipose if you want some over here.
I don't want a Squishmallow of your adipose. I want a Squishmallow of the adipose.
You don't want an anatomical adipose. You want an actual
Doctor Who
Doctor
adipose.
Who adipose
Yes.
creature.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sans the whole crazy nanny with Sonic lipstick, right? We don't want to go there. We just
No, I don't need that. I just want a Squishmallow
That.
of an adipose. Now, if adipose was an actual diet pill, I'd take it. I'd take it even though if I knew what was going on.
right. I want to watch my fat walk away.
Your fat can walk away. Take this pill and it becomes an alien and they can't reproduce without your fat. It's like, well, I'll help an alien civilization.
Yeah.
Heck
As
yeah.
far as alien plots go,
Yeah. I'm okay with this one.
this one seems pretty benign.
Well,
Unless
like-
you take too much and then your whole body turns into adipose.
Yeah, you got to stick to the one pill a day.
One
But
pill a day. Don't get greedy.
don't get greedy. I'm okay with it though.
As long as you follow the directions.
Batbrain wants to know what makes adipose accurate
Anatomical.
Yeah, thank you. Go for it, Billion. You're the one who used the word twice
did.
now.
Adipose tissue is a specialized connective tissue mainly composed of fat cells known as adipocytes. Adipocytes can be subdivided into 3 cell types: white, brown, and beige adipocytes, which differ in their structure, location, and function. So, adipose tissue is an actual anatomical part of your body. And it's not because you are fat that you have adipose. It's that because you are alive, you have adipose. Without adipose or adipocytes, your body wouldn't hold together very well. That'd be bad.
And welcome Rain on Discord.
Oh, I guess I can put in the welcome message on the Discord since we're. Hello, and that's not what I want.
Nope.
There you go. I was like, you just entered to a new line on Discord. I didn't want to enter a new line. I wanted to push the welcome message out.
We got 40 seconds. Hey. 40 seconds. Hey.
Um.
$20 seconds. Hey. That's your wife. And I forgot to hit the button. We're live. Bam.
How do you spell species? Oh, there we go.
I don't know, homie.
All right. So, hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 56. I am going to redo that because I didn't hit record on my side. Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 56 of the Breed Manifesto.
Yup.
Faith, Hope, and Love for the Modern Christian. I'm Pastor Bill, and I'm joined by a man who has pretty much had it with me today. He is at his wit's end of my shenanigans today.
I am not. I'm
Pastor
good.
Noobs,
I'm good.
all the way from the state of Tennessee. He even had to throw on a Tennessee beanie to calm himself down. We've been having a quite intense conversation most of the afternoon. No response?
No. It wasn't intense. Sure? It wasn't intense all afternoon. Just part of the afternoon.
Oh, okay, I see.
And I took my meds.
Part of the afternoon.
Let's be clear.
I took my meds.
No, I'm just saying let's be clear, because there are times when that's a valid question when I get in a mood.
No, I did.
Yeah.
All right. So how was your week, Pastor Nooms?
Dude, how was my week? I don't remember.
You played Satisfactory.
I did play Satisfactory. Christmas came out.
It came out twice.
Yeah, it came out twice. It came out, they pulled it because it wasn't ready, and then they put it back out the next day, which was only like a couple hours later. And I worked a bunch, but there wasn't anything eventful. The kids are still here. We're all in quarantine. No one else has gotten sick. So at the beginning of next week, everyone is out of quarantine. Nothing much. How was your week?
My week was all right. We wrapped up a story arc in Star Trek, and then went into the events that aren't really that crucial, from my personal opinion, unless you want to grind a bunch of hostiles, which Pastor Nooms likes to do.
Yes. I
like to use it as kind of a downtime in between story arcs, because I'm all about the story arcs, stories in games. I like the stuff that you're doing for a reason. It's got a story behind it. It's not just do this to get stronger. It's do this because they did this, and you need to give them, you need to take revenge on these dogs. I like storyline stuff. I got my car towed to a different shop because the first shop said, the problems you have are too intense for our shop. We don't actually pull apart engine blocks to do repairs. So you're going to have to take this to a dealership. So we took it to the dealership, and the dealership was like, yeah, our standard diagnostic isn't intense enough for what your problem is. So we're actually going to have to do this special diagnostic. And that was the last I heard. But yeah, other than that, we went to a Christmas parade yesterday. That was fun. Decatur, on the Decatur Square. The Christmas parade in Decatur has gotten much, much longer than back in the day when I was in marching band.
Yeah?
What year is it right now? 2021.
It's
so we're
2021.
talking 21 years ago. I graduated from high school. The parade has gotten much bigger. I marched in that parade 4 times, and it was never that big 20 years ago. It was always much smaller. And most of the floats were handing out candy and floats.
Now, were they
monster trucks and floats? And,
were they handing out candy?
No, they weren't handing out candy at all. I was going to get to that.
Okay.
And all but one float, or one entry into the parade, they just looked ecstatic to be there. They were super happy. There was only one float that wasn't happy.
And we don't have to talk
And
about it.
we won't,
Yeah.
I was about to say we won't talk about that on the air. I just wanted it to be known that most of the floats were just full of happy people and having a great time. And no, they weren't handing out candy. They were chunking candy into the audience. I got
Oh,
pelted
okay.
in the head 6 different times
Mm, mm, mm.
throughout the course of this parade, this hour-long parade. 3 of those, however, was all from one float. And I was like, I give up. Stop. I can't handle this anymore.
Stop hitting me in the head.
Stop hitting me in the head with candy. But most people were just throwing it at the ground at our feet, and it would slide. A good amount of it would slide under the barrier right in front of us. So that was, but it was good. It was a really good parade, and there were, as a Bat Brain yelled on Twitch, monster trucks. There was probably a good, I don't know, 7 or 8 monster trucks that came rolling through, honking their horns and
Now,
revving their engines.
Were they really monster trucks, or was it just we live in the country, so jacked up trucks are a big thing?
No, they were genuine. Like, I've seen some battle damage, and I've got big tires, and
Okay.
I'm built to battle with other cars. Monster trucks. It was
Okay.
intense.
Just checking, because I know,
Yeah.
you know.
I think one of them had a sign that said it was from Weatherford or something. Like, they weren't even local. They were just, coming to be a part of the parade, which was cool. That was fun. And then there's a drive-through light display here in Decatur this year called Radiance. And we didn't know if they were going to charge or if it was free. We assumed it was going to charge, but we didn't know how much. So we pull up to the little shack, and we were like, how much is it? And they were like, well, it's only $30 to get in. But you can also, for $20 extra, get a small bag of candy for each person in your car, and hot cocoa, and these cool little glasses to see the lights as special shapes. And Roxanne looked at me and she was like, well, what do you think? And I was like, I don't want to pay $20 for a bag of candy. I think that. And she was like, yeah, I don't think we're going to do it tonight. So we went to leave. We were like, how do we get out? And they were like, I don't know. How do you get out? And so they had to call their manager, and they were like, go this way. And the manager walked to the car and was like, yeah, we got so many cars coming in right now. Why don't you just go on through? Just go on. So we got to go through the $30 light display for free, which was cool. It actually wasn't that bad. It wasn't $30 worth, but if they had been charging like $20, I'd say it was charged correctly. It was that level of amount of lights, and
it was good, but it wasn't $30 good.
Right, it was good, but it wasn't $30 good. At one point, there were these 3 spiders, and it was like, spiders? Why are there? And Finnick was like, I love spiders, and we were like, okay, yeah, that I get now why they included spiders. Kids are awesome. So
I did forget, the Nissan plant here did a thing where you could go to, and it was all kinds of lights, and they had all stuff and cookies and all that kind of stuff. And my Biggs took the girls there, and it was, lights at a factory, which was cool. I did forget about that. I didn't go.
Yeah, you didn't go. No,
I had bad Chinese food.
Oh. Yeah, so that was my week. All right, so on Twitch we've got the best 1317, our friend Groggy, our little Groggy. We've got a Bat Brains joining us on Twitch. My little Groggy. Oh, my little Groggy.
Okay.
Right. We've got a Bat Brain on Twitch. We've got Biggs is joining us on Twitch. I'm assuming that means that Mama Gloria is there with Biggs.
I don't know if I don't know if I like Mama Gloria. That sounds.
Why not?
My mama's name is Gloria.
She your mama. She your mama.
Groggy tales bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Oh.
That works too.
Oh, I went with a different song
Okay.
altogether.
I went with Gummy Bears.
I went with Dragon Tales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hey, stop talking about your mother-in-law saying she's weird, Zadie. That's not cool. Zadie's with us on Twitch. A Bat Brain reminded me we had a date, an anniversary date. My 16th anniversary was this weekend, or this week, Yes, we are joined by Rain on Discord, and Phoenix is joining us in the Discord as well. But yeah, my anniversary was this week, and we tried to have an awesome date indicator. We really did. We tried to go to Aurora to go to a place called Martian Margaritas, um, which sounded fun. It's an alien thing. There's little statues of aliens, and it's all built around the Aurora alien story from the 1800s about a crashed alien ship, and this little one of the Greys, little alien, met the townsfolk, and then he tried to leave, and they shot his ship down, and then he's supposedly buried over in Aurora, about 15 minutes away from my home. And so we tried to go there, but they had closed early, and we were like, ah. And then we went to the barbecue place that's right there with it. It's just a little hole in the wall place. And they were like, "We're sold out. We're closing up shop now early ourselves because we had such a rush. We're sold out of all of our meats." So then we tried to go to Chili's, and the Chili's in Decatur is woefully understaffed right now. So there was large crowds of people waiting outside. And we're like, okay, fine. We'll go to Fuzzy's on the Square. Got there, and there was karaoke running. And not good karaoke. Like, this place is not designed for loud noises. Karaoke.
Don't
And
they
so it
have
was
like mostly like metal everywhere, so it'd be a ton of reverberation and stuff?
it's like the concrete floor and the metal walls.
Yeah,
They've got that ornate tin ceiling
yeah,
structure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's the same as the other fuzzies, so it's not.
is bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Mm.
Um, and, yeah, so that was, we had an anniversary date this year. I've been married for 16 years.
Mm.
How about that? All right. Well,
There's some time.
What?
That's time.
That's time. That's some
We're
time
getting
right
old.
there. Yeah, I mean,
That's how time works, typically.
that is how time works.
Unless you're
quote.
Merlin.
Okay. We won't talk about that.
Let's get past that.
Tonight we are talking about a contentious subject, and yeah, we're gonna do that.
Okay.
And so it may be interesting. Groggy, you switched from the best to your Groggy account. You're confusing me.
I think it's because we sang the theme song, so it summoned him.
Oh, so he switched over?
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, so tonight we're talking about morality, and it's gonna be a fun night. We're gonna have fun. Nooms hates that we talk about this as often as we do, but either there's someone listening that needs to hear this conversation, or it keeps coming up because I need to learn something, or somebody needs to learn something because I keep getting prompted to talk about this, and I'm not immune to needing to learn things. So it could very well be that Pastor Bill is the one that needs to be hearing about this conversation over and over again. So we'll see. Or we may not see, but anyway. All right, so it is time.
Stay tuned if we talk about it just a little bit of time again.
It is time for getting to know the pastors. And Pastor Nooms already has his card pulled. And what does it say, Pastor Nooms?
Interesting. If you could be anywhere in the world for New Year's Eve this year, where would you most want to be?
Anywhere in the world.
And Groggy is in two places because he wants to be here.
Groggy wants to be with you New Year's Eve.
And Groggy, that could actually probably happen if you're wanting to be with us for New Year's Eve. Just hit up Zadie because I don't plan things, so talk to her. I personally, my favorite place to be New Year's would be right here at my computer, because that's where I like spending most holidays. But uh, I don't like to travel a lot. Rain would like to be given a castle and a fire-breathing dragon and then be there. Um,
I have no special place I'd like to be.
I think you should come to Tennessee too. We can all just be
Mm,
here for New Year's. It's an expensive drive though.
everything's expensive. Travel is
Yeah, it is.
expensive. Breathing is expensive.
Yeah.
Phoenix says she wants to be with the doctor. Do you have a death wish?
Yeah, not around holidays.
The
Those are sad
doctor and
episodes.
holidays, those are bad times to be with the doctor.
Those are always sad. I don't want to be around.
Cool spacey stuff until some cool spacey stuff eats you. And the doctor's like, I tried.
Because Phoenix has bad luck. She would get eaten. Straight up. Like, or just get left accidentally. Like, oh, we forgot about her. I actually
I
started.
would probably I would probably get assimilated into a Cyberman who then got captured and turned into a Dalek. And so I'd be just horribly disfigured and tortured soul running around the galaxy yelling, assimilate or exterminate, assimilate or exterminate, just as long as
Mm,
something gets done.
mm, mm. One of the little cyber mice, you get turned into one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Not even enough genetic material left to. All right. Morals.
So we didn't really get to know much about us by
We
that
didn't.
card, but
We
that's fine.
didn't. Do you want another one?
Sure.
All right. Ooh, this one's short.
I would end up with a hole in my forehead. I would end up with the snap and the little porthole would open to suck up information.
What is the greatest lesson in life you have learned?
Um, t- to put more effort into the relationships that I have while I have them,
Mm,
instead of later regretting not saying yes to that certain thing, not um, preferring someone else in that situation over myself.
mm,
Because all of my regrets stem from I was selfish in that scenario and it hurt that friend, or I didn't do enough for that friend and that happened, or yeah. What about you, Pastor Nibs?
um. Compound interest is important.
Mm, both for and against.
Yeah.
Ah.
Something that everyone should remember much more than we do.
Compound interest ruins lives.
And saves them.
If you're lucky enough to get on the right end of that.
Yeah. So. Um. So. That would be what I would say. Because compound interest is more important than short-term gains. Sometimes.
Yep.
Anyway.
Zeddy says what? That was loud.
Sorry.
I don't know what Zeddy's saying what about, but Zeddy's saying what?
She's probably saying what to what I said.
About compound interest?
Right. Because it's both bad and good, depending on, like you said, which side you're on.
Bad if you're the lender, or if you're the borrower. Good if you're the lender.
Or the one holding an account. When you're maturing in time. Compound interest is the interest that happens when you're getting interest on interest. So if you have a bank account and you give an interest and you don't remove anything, the next interest is compound interest. On a loan, if you don't make your payments correctly, and when you're trying to pay off interest, and then you're getting interest on interest. So compound interest can be painful or can be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said he's like, okay, that's
I said never mind already.
She's like, I said never mind. All right. So,
morality. Let's start with the verse that you put on the card.
Yeah, let's start in Romans
5.
Chapter 5. Let's start in verse 12. Put that in the chat. Romans 5, verses 12 through 13. Silly goose. All right. Therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, in this way death spread to all people because all sinned. In fact, sin was in the world before the law, but sin is not charged to a person's account when there is no law. Now, Paul has some, multi-sided things that are going on here in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because he says, nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over those who did not sin in the likeness of Adam's transgression. He is a type of the coming one. But also, if we go back to Romans chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's Romans 2, not 21.
12.
2, and we're looking at, 12 is a good place to start.
You can start at 11, technically. No, because it starts with a 4. You don't want to start with a 4.
12 through
137.
We're going to end at 16, because Nooms wants that 16 to be in there pretty bad. So
pretty bad?
Yeah. You were advocating for that to be the actual scripture, Paul.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
All right. All who sin without the law will also perish without the law. And all who sin under the law will be judged by the law. For the hearers of the law are not righteous before God, but the doers of the law will be justified. So when Gentiles, who do not by nature have the law, do what the law demands, they are a law to themselves, even though they do not have the law. They show that the work of the law is written on their hearts. Their consciousnesses confirm this. Their competing thoughts either accuse or even excuse them on the day when God judges. And what he's judging is, because I split that when I should have split it in the way I was reading it, when God judges what people have kept secret, according to my gospel through Christ Jesus. Paul's saying the gospel he's preaching through Christ Jesus. And that's a big thing for Paul. Is he says it again later as, if somebody comes and tries to teach you a gospel other than what I've brought you, then you need to flee. They're trying to trick you. They're trying to lie to you. Yeah. Okay. So that's really confusing, Pastor Nooms. You want to break that down for us? He uses that word law several times, back and forth and back and forth. And so break down this Romans 2:12 through 16 for us so we can understand what is Paul saying here. Is he talking about one law, two laws, three laws? What is he talking about?
So in this, he's talking about at least two. Basically, the law that he's talking about in the beginning is the law that was given to Moses. So the books of the law. So those who sin without the Bible, the books of the law, those five main books, will perish without ever knowing those five books. And those who have sinned under the law, meaning they know the books and they will be judged by those books.
Okay, so pause.
Okay.
So you're saying when we get to the judgment at the end and our life is laid out in front of us, we're going to be judged by separate standards.
That is my understanding based on Scripture, yes.
Okay, keep going.
The hearers of the law are not righteous, because we break it, but the doers of the laws will be justified. So, to me, the people who are trying and in following the rules will be justified. And in that, at the point we are now, is also the third law, which is the law under Jesus, which is the law that then can do justification, because the books of the law cannot justify. The Gentiles, who do not have the books of the law, do what the law demands, because that law was also written on their hearts and their consciousnesses. They're, it's kind of that whole thing where there are, most of the Ten Commandments, it's not, humans naturally know these are good and bad, right or wrong.
And we find that play out all over the world.
All over the world.
Every culture, we find these basic 10 agreements that everyone can agree upon. These things we should do.
Yeah. Aside from the ones specifically about God. But, yes,
well,
the overall...
outside of being raised in a theistic evangelical culture, most people just naturally look at the heavens and go, I yearn to know who made that.
Yep. I agree. And then, when God judges, he's going to judge based on what people kept secret. So, there's three laws that are talked about throughout there, in my opinion, of what each of those mean.
Now, you used the word justification.
Right.
Now, that is not the same thing as being found innocent.
No.
You can still be found guilty, and then someone look at your actions and go, well, yeah, I understand why you did that, but you're still guilty.
So
justification doesn't mean you get a free pass.
Right.
It means,
so the Greek word is a word.
Is a word.
Dikal. No, Ioo. And it means to render just or innocent. So it's to regard as, to make innocent. The justification process is not, hey, you are innocent. It is to make someone or regard them as innocent.
Right, except we both know that what Paul actually means is Christ fulfilled the law.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to actually be justified by following the law is to follow the law of
Yeah.
Christ.
The third law.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I'm trying to break this up this way because I want to establish all the ways that we agree and where we come to the point where we're completely simpatico. And then if anyone's ever listened to the Berean Manifesto at any point, they've already heard my hot take on all these issues. And so this is where we are. All right. So when he says in Romans chapter 2, verse 15, the law is written on their hearts. And he's not talking on the hearts of the Jews like Moses was talking about in Deuteronomy. He's talking about everybody. Everybody has this law.
I mean, it plainly says Gentiles.
Yeah.
And then it's they, you know.
And so at what point did that law become written on the hearts of mankind?
I would assume, based on what we understand from Scripture, that it was written at the time of eating the from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Right. And
I think most people would agree with that.
Right. Most people would agree with theologians would agree with that. Most people are right on with that agreement that we receive the knowledge of good and evil. We receive the knowledge of the basic law when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, we had a conversation earlier that I've never had any with anybody else before. And you put it in a way where I've never had anybody say it to me before. And I knew I had a head knowledge of the concept that you were talking about, but no one had ever articulated it this way to me before.
Which it took a minute to get to the articulation, let's be clear.
Yeah.
This was not I didn't just come up with it on the fly. It took a minute of travel.
It wasn't just like you were like, I'm a wordsmith and I'm just going to pull this out of my butt and it's going to make sense. You were talking about sin before the fall of man. So, can you...
So, there were times...
I was raised...
Yeah, there were times in the past that I was under teachers, and what I was taught was that sin entered the world when the fruit was eaten.
Now pause. Because you just quoted Romans chapter 5.
Right.
Verse 12. However, Paul then puts a stipulation.
Right.
Which is verse 13. He says,
exactly.
When in fact... Now go ahead.
Sin was there already. The fact of not being perfect was already in the world. And we see this in the fact that Adam made a very large mistake previous to the eating of the apple.
Apple.
Well, yeah, sorry. I've tried to say fruit every time. It's obviously not an apple. That irritates me. So I'm sorry.
It literally couldn't be an apple. Of all of the fruits in the world, apple, strawberry, watermelon, these things, it couldn't have been because they didn't exist.
It could have been a special breed, like a golden apple, that don't exist anymore. It could have been special, you see.
So a lot of theologians believe it was a pomegranate. And one of the reasons they believe this is because there's a lot of Art Deco that shows a tree of life and another tree that is represented as a pomegranate tree, going back several thousands of years. And also, whenever we come across descriptions of Asherah poles, they're always described as having pomegranates on them.
I did not know that part.
And so a lot of theologians have come to the conclusion that it must have been a pomegranate that was representing the knowledge of good and evil on this tree. Not necessarily that all pomegranates were evil, but that this one particular tree grew pomegranates.
Cross pollination is weird sometimes. But Adam, when he relayed the law, he relayed it incorrectly. The only law that had been given at that point was
Loosely law.
Yeah, loosely law was don't eat of that fruit. To which Adam then turned to newly created Eve and said, "Don't touch that tree; it'll kill you."
Don't eat or touch.
Yeah, eat or touch. Don't even touch it. If you touch it, you're gonna die.
If you touch it, you'll die.
Which, as we all know, is how Satan was able to twist. I almost said English. He didn't twist English. English doesn't need to be twisted because it's a horrible language. 41 minutes.
Now in the original, it doesn't actually say that it is Satan.
Right.
That is an idea that comes across in English translations of the New Testament when the authors refer back and say the adversary, Satanus in Latin, the adversary inhabited the serpent and went and talked to Eve, and we then, apply that to being the devil, being Satan, being in the serpent. Now in the text it just says the serpent. I don't want people who are legalistic, to reject
Very true.
the message of what we're saying because we use a colloquialist word that we've just gotten used to saying, oh yeah, the serpent was Satan. And then they reject the whole concept because we didn't cross our T's and dot our I's in what we're saying. So
should I say
the
a
serpent
Satan?
You could say a Satan. That would be correct. The serpent didn't have to lie to Eve because Adam had already lied to her.
Yeah. And we know they were already naked. And they immediately afterwards were afraid. Whether or not they felt shame is up to debate. But they...
Well, no, we infer that they felt shame because of
previous
the last
verses.
verse of chapter 2.
Yeah. That they didn't feel shame for being naked, and then magically they were afraid, so we assume it's because of shame. If you can tell, we've had long discussions today.
We've had long discussions.
So, so because of that, we know there were things that were not considered perfect that were happening before the fruit was eaten.
Because we've done extensive talking about the word sin.
Yeah.
It literally just means imperfect.
Imperfect.
It literally just means you're not perfect. If you create a giant jade statue and there's one nick in it, that's sin. But that sin doesn't automatically ruin the whole statue.
Right. Like the best refrigerators are ones you buy from the scratch and dent place because they have a little dent that you're going to slide in anyway, but it's half the price. So scratch and dent is all, doesn't necessarily mean. That's a dumb analogy, but it's what came through my head, so it's what you get.
And this is what Paul is talking about in the New Testament when he says that Christ redeems us from the laws of sin and death.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The law of sin came, or an understanding of the existence of the law of sin came when Adam and Eve ate the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And the law of death came when Moses brought his law. When God gave the law, that law to Moses. That's the law of death. Why do we call that the law of death? We call that the law of death because God said, hey, do these things so death won't come as quickly. That was the whole point of the law, was you guys are dying left, right, and center. Let's institute some logical steps to keep you from dying so much. Stop doing this. Stop doing that. Start doing this. Start doing that. Stop eating those dang pigs. You don't know how to cook them right to keep yourself from getting sick. Stuff like that, right? No?
Stop touching dead people and then touching your face.
Stop. Yeah, stop touching dead people.
You can't
Stop
see
pooping
pathogens, but they're there. Stop touching things.
Stop pooping inside your homes. Go do that outside the camp.
And let's be clear, that's not because they didn't have. That's not just because they didn't have indoor plumbing. Because I poop inside my home, but it's because I have indoor plumbing.
The indoor plumbing takes it away.
Well,
they didn't
most
have
of the
indoor
time.
plumbing. They didn't have anything to just magically take it away.
Yes, exactly.
It just sat there and infected them, made them sick. All right. So, the way I've come at it is that I've equated the knowledge of good and evil with morality. And I've stated that having that knowledge of good and evil is what corrupted Adam and Eve and their descendants. That morality is corruption. And I've gone on to then say, if you're using morality as a weapon to beat someone over the head, then you are literally embracing the very thing that caused God to say, well, man can't live forever, because now they're going to be little pea bags like this guy. And on that point, we've agreed you shouldn't weaponize morality.
Right.
But in between the two, Nooms and I don't agree on the specifics of what is morality, what is ethics, and is it morality they gained when they ate the fruit or not. And so I've said my point of view extensively over history, and Pastor Nooms today was trying to explain, where he's coming from and the way he sees it. And I think I understand the way you see it at this point. I don't think I have any holes, so I'm going to try to express what I've learned about your point of view today.
Okay. Let's
Is
see.
you okay with that? Okay. And you've done a good job of basically already stating a lot of the stuff that I'm about to say, but we're recapping. Adam and Eve already had some sense of morality. They already knew some things are good, some things are bad, because God said, don't eat the tree, that's bad. And you can't eat the other fruit, that's good. Right?
Yes.
Okay. They already had some sense of morality. Okay. When they ate the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, they then had the understanding and the knowledge of the law and understood not good and bad, but right and wrong. So some things are good for you, some things are bad. Now we understand right and we understand wrong.
Yes.
Which is another facet of morality, but you can't just blanket statement morality over the situation because there was some sense of morality there before, and it wasn't like they just gained morality. They already had it. They gained a new facet and a new understanding.
That is my belief.
Of morality.
Yes.
And in that, then they had to suffer the consequences of the knowledge. Like Paul says, without the law, there is no consequence. So then that first consequence was we've always been naked, and now we believe that to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then they made aprons for themselves. Apron, it's the
Aprons?
correct word. Even your King James Bible as translated today is translated wrong. The word apron replaced the word napron around the 1800s, the late 1800s.
Really?
It was a napron, and because people became lazy, other people thought they were saying an apron, but it is a napron.
And what is the difference in that, Billiam?
That people are lazy. Apron is a word that didn't exist until people got lazy and decided to not learn that it was an apron, not that it wasn't a apron. They assumed it was an apron. Anyway, and yes, words change meaning, and they blah blah blah. I get it, I do, but it is fun to say apron. Okay, so they made aprons for themselves, and they hid from God because they were afraid. They weren't afraid of God before. Before they had this knowledge of good and evil, when God would show up, they would just go, "Oh, hey, it's God. Let's go hang out."
Mm-hmm.
One-on-one, in his presence. And once they had this knowledge of good and evil, they were afraid to enter into his presence. There was this separation.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually, they did die, right? Because they became separated from God. Their innocence, like a child has innocence,
Mm-hmm.
that died, for sure.
Well, and one of the things that I found that I hadn't read before was in Genesis where it says when the Lord's actually saying it, it does not say you will die. Depending on the translation, it says certainly or surely die. So it's not that even according to the translations we have, um, God didn't say you will die. It said God said you will certainly die, meaning yeah, now because you ate it, you will certainly die. When before there was a question of will these guys die? Um, is how I take that verse, and that is Genesis 2:17. Um, that I'm referring to, that I had not paid attention to that one extra word that's in each of the three translations that I'm using um, to show. I just typed it, although I misspelled Genesis. Are you looking at what the word actually is?
Yeah, it's worthy of death. The actual word, like pulled out of context, and just the
Mm-hmm.
word itself is to be worthy of death, to be as if you were dead, to be as good as dead, to and it actually has the word twice, meaning it should actually be an exclamation point at the end of the sentence instead of a period.
Yeah, because it's Muth Muth.
Yeah.
Muth Muth. Not just Muth.
And for some reason the translators decided to just put a period there instead of an exclamation point, even though that's like one of the first things you learn when you're translating Hebrew and Greek is if they say a word twice, that's emphatic. That's an exclamation point in modern English.
Yeah, life is fun.
And then after they do eat it, God says, well, now we need to stop them from continuing to eat from the tree of life.
Mhm.
Because if they do, they're going to live forever in their current state.
Mhm.
Slaves to the law of sin. Borrowing from, New Testament
Right.
axioms.
Yes, exactly. Which, when you look at it, is not necessarily part of the punishment. That part
Is mercy.
is mercy. It's after the Lord makes them close.
Mm-hmm.
It's after the punishments are done that he says, since man has been like one of us, knowing good and evil, he must not reach out and take from, because God didn't want us continuing to live imperfect, where we could not die and would not die, to at some point become, our perfect selves in the afterlife. Because we
Right.
wouldn't have had an afterlife. We would have been stuck, separated from God forever.
Well, they
So,
were already imperfect, but they were imperfect without consequence.
right,
But now that they have the knowledge of good and evil,
right,
now that imperfection sticks
yeah.
and
It mucks it up.
corrupts
Yeah,
and damages your DNA and passes on corrupted DNA, and then we get people born with diseases and deformities and you know yeah.
yes, Groggy. We are
Yes,
damaged goods now.
Craigie says we're damaged goods. And just like the book of Hosea, God likes him some damaged goods.
Really? Hosea?
Yeah, Hosea, where God tells Hosea,
I
you
I
go out and
I
you marry
I
yourself,
know.
go out and you marry yourself that whore, because she's going to cheat on you, she's going to do you wrong, she's going to run around, and then you're going to pursue her and she's going to come back to you, just like I will pursue my people.
Yeah. You're not wrong. It's just we went to Hosea.
We went to Hosea. No, I won't. Zadie says, no, I won't. I don't know what she said. Is she saying she won't go marry a whore? Is that what she's? I don't. I don't
I don't
know.
understand what she's saying. I know I won't too.
Oh, Zadie.
I'm confused.
That's fine. All right. Sounds like a fun time, Groggy says.
Oh, Groggy.
All right. So go read Hosea. That's your homework for this week.
No, it's
Uh,
not. That is not the homework for the
we'll,
week.
we'll be talking about whores next. Whores versus sluts next Sunday. It's
No.
sure to be a good time.
No.
So tune in at 6:30
I
p.m. Central Standard
seriously
Time
hope
next
we are not
Sunday
going
to
to talk
join us
about thoughts
live.
next week.
We thought that's exactly what next week's episode title is
No,
going to be.
it-
Thought. Okay, so if you want to join us live on Sunday evenings, we do meet on Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it goes out live to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. If you want to go to ekk.house, you can find out which Twitch, which Facebook, and which YouTube channels you can join us live at, and then you can participate in the chat and join us in the live conversation the way that Zadie and Groggy and Biggs and Phoenix have, and a bat brain. Sorry, I'm trying not to burp over here and into the microphone, so it's making my voice cut in and out. So come join us live. We have a good time most Sundays, and we try not to argue too much because that gets annoying to watch when we're just sitting here arguing back and forth. We try to keep it pretty light and have a good time, but we're only human, rife with imperfection.
And I love
So-
arguing. Sorry, I got lost.
So join us some Sunday. We'd love to have you be a part of the conversation. Ask questions, interject, tell us we're wrong. That's all welcome. Fuels the conversation. It's good fun. And you can listen to this podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It comes out on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. So I'd encourage you to go back and look at the scriptures that we talked about. Decide if, we're on the mark or if we've missed the mark here, and what you think you're seeing here, and what you believe about these theological topics. But remember that what binds us together as believers is that we believe that Jesus came as a man, died on the cross to deal with the law of sin and death on our behalf, fulfilled every jot and tittle of the law to bring us salvation. And that's the state that we live in now, is that state of salvation. So, yeah. And that's one of the things that Pastor Noom said earlier today. He was like, I hate this topic because it doesn't matter. It isn't one of those things that matters. And I'm like, that's true, but I can't fight this unction that this is what we're supposed to talk about today. So this is what we talked about, and I feel like I learned something. Got some new insight onto this topic. I don't know if anybody else did, but I certainly feel more knowledgeable here at the end of the day. So that's good. It's always good to learn and grow and become a better person. And that's why I keep someone like Jonathan around me. I have this rule that if you don't make me a better husband, a better father, or a better Christian, then I ain't got time for you. And so that's why I spend a lot of time with Pastor Nunes, because he challenges me in all three of these areas. And so, yeah, you do, not all at the same time.
Okay.
And not all three every day. But you have no lack of challenging me in these three areas. So, yeah. So, love you guys, and I hope you have a great week.
Be safe out there, please.
And until next time.
Love you guys. And now for our people
for
that
those
we
of
have
you that are
to
live-
do, because we have to do the thing. So
You're mocking me. You're
What?
straight up
No.
mocking.
no, it's because you
That
said
is your
something
mock
nice.
voice.
It's because you said something nice, so I had to
Yes,
get
I
back
said
to you.
something nice, so you have to use your love language of hatred and mock me. 30-second
Get
buffer.
buffer. 30-second buffer. 30-second buffer.
Has it been 30 seconds yet?
No,
No,
it's
that's
not
not
how
how
time
time
works.
30-second
30-second buffer.
30-second buffer. 30-second
30-second
buffer.
buffer.
You guys, go on. Have a great week.
Love you guys. Be safe.